Hello DevOps friends, I'm back. I'm Jochen from Optative and this is Fullstack Live, my live coding channel. Hello everyone, hello Exegete. How is live? Good morning. I'm back from DrupalCon. I spent last week in Lille, France for DrupalCon Europe and it I had a great time. I even met a viewer of the stream and that was amazing. Hello Division by Zero. And yeah, I got lots of inspiration. I also got lots of time to think about all kinds of things about marketing, branding, and my weekly schedule. And Exegete, yes, I owe you a response. I'll have to write that on Discord maybe later today if I get to it. And speaking of Discord, if you'd like to join us over there, you can do so. Here's the link. Yes, it is an SGI hoodie. Yeah, let's get this out of the way. And yeah, let's install Unix, especially in this case, particularly IRIX. I did own an SGI machine myself back in the day, and I also worked on SGI machines while I got my degree in computer science. And since then, I loved these machines. They were not only were they hugely powerful for the time, but also the case design. Each and every one of these machines had a unique case design, from the little indie or later the O2. Up to the huge machines, the Onyx and the Origin 2000. These were great machines in terms of design, and I really miss the time when computers had interesting design apart from lots of RGB. And so yeah, I have spent some time on IRIX and had a lot of fun. I had an SGI Octane. I think it was an Octane 2 at home, and used IRIX on there. And actually there is a lot of open source software available for IRIX too. Lots of stuff that has been backported from open source code, like the GIMP and other applications like that. And it was really fun using this machine. It actually required you to wear headphones though, because these machines are really loud. They weren't supposed to be desktop machines, I guess, even though they were. But yeah, there was always lots of noise from these machines because all these graphics coprocessors and stuff like that needed to be cooled. So yeah. Well, you're right. The cheese grater Mac Pro is a nice tower case, but it's still just a metal tower case. I don't think that's too much of a quantum leap in terms of design. The trash can Mac Pro, however, definitely fits that mold. That was outrageous design. And actually, Action Retro over on YouTube recently did a few videos running Linux on the trash can Mac Pro. And that seems to work pretty nicely because it has still some decent CPU power and GPU power too. So if you wanted to, I guess doing common development work or even some light gaming, like something like World of Warcraft, should work nicely on the trash can Mac Pro. And yeah, so I really loved these old machines, and machines that have their own design, have their special place in my heart. That's definitely the case. So, just as an item on your shelf makes sense. They are still quite pricey though. So for a working one, you'd have to spend a few $100, but I guess getting a broken one shouldn't be too much of an issue. So yeah, anything else? Is there any news? As I said, I have started a new way of scheduling my week, and so far it's going nicely. I simply sat down and opened my calendar, and I thought, what would be my ideal week? What do I need to make space for? And this time I didn't repeat a mistake that I did when I did these things earlier before, and that is not counting in any family time. Back in the past, I focused too much on work, and so everything that disturbed my work focus was annoying me, and that mistake I think I have resolved by scheduling in plenty of family time and time to help in the household, and so that should make for less interruptions, because I've already penciled those duties and responsibilities in, and also for much more satisfaction, both for me and the rest of the family. I think I should have left more time for that in the first place, and yeah, it took me a while to realize that, and having someone to talk to. Yesterday I had my second therapy session, and simply explaining these things often already helps you find these mistakes and the erroneous thinking that, or the habits that you have ingrained, and I'm quite happy to have a week that seems more realistic and seems to work better. Praxeus, good morning to you. Welcome to the Stack. Good to have you. I'm back from DrupalCon, and I'm ready to do some live coding. Today I'm going to continue my research on OpenSearch, and I'll also have to research how GitLab wants us to connect to our Kubernetes cluster now that the old kind of integration has been deprecated and actually already started not working for us anymore, especially for features like review apps. That doesn't seem to work anymore, and I need to find out what I need to change to get it working again. But first, I'd like to get the OpenSearch topic off the table, because that's something I need to report back to one of our customers, and so that's the first thing that I'm going to do today. And as always, let's make this thing interactive. This is not supposed to be a 2-hour or longer monologue on my side, so if there's anything that you would like to share or would think that it fits here, please don't hesitate. Pop into chat and give your feedback, ask your questions, do all these things, and we can have a nice conversation instead of me talking your ears off. Okay, so I guess we can actually get started here. So I've already started my OpenSearch Docker stack, and the FluentD container doesn't really work, as you can see from these error messages. And that is because FluentD seems to not be able either to connect to OpenSearch, or it doesn't identify OpenSearch as Elasticsearch compatible, because that's exactly what it says in its error message. Here, the client is unable to verify that the server is Elasticsearch. Well, technically it isn't, but I think it should still work. And then it says no address for OpenSearch-node 1. Oh, it even can't resolve the name. That of course, makes sense then. If it can't even connect to that, no wonder it's not able to verify that the server is Elasticsearch. So we need to find out why that is. Okay, so let's go back to our configuration. Here we did actually configure the host name as OpenSearch-node1. And that should be available because that is exactly the name of the service that we have here. And as the comment even says, which we've copied off the example configuration, this is also the host name of the container within the Docker network, so we can actually access that as OpenSearch-node1. Why then is FluentD not able to resolve that? And by the way, the reason, if you viewed the stream where I set this up 2 weeks ago, we had the problem that the web container kept locking up, and that's because we actually defined a logging section here that depends on the FluentD container, but it also depends on FluentD actually working. So that's of course not the case if FluentD can't connect to OpenSearch. So simply by disabling this logging section here, I was able to get the stack to deploy at least. But other than that... Oh, Exegete, you're right. I'm not used to having dedicated networks for these things, and I'm really not sure why the example configuration even has this network section. So I'm basically cargo culting here by simply using this network definition. I don't know what would be different if I left this off completely, because as we just saw, this is just confusing things and making things more complex than they actually need to be. So okay, so now we have everything. Oh, I know why that's the case, I think. So the this is a mix of the OpenSearch example configuration and the FluentD configuration, and that actually might be the case that I copied that from FluentD, but of course the FluentD configuration did not use this network. So that might be the case. That's what you get when you copy stuff from different sources and not look closely enough. Lesson learned, I think. Okay, so let me try and deploy the stack again. I'll just press Ctrl-C here, which should shut down everything. It might be that the same goes for the web container, but one step at a time. We still get those errors, but let's wait for OpenSearch to spin up first. This might still be the boot phase here. As you can see, OpenSearch does a lot of things in the background. But these seem to be backtraces as well. Yeah. That doesn't look good either. Let's actually take a look at that. Error. Exception during establishing an SSL connection. Not an SSL/TLS record. Where do you want to connect to, though? Oh, it says exception during establishing an SSL connection, but somewhere it also says client connection, right? Let's see. Yeah, here, caught exception while handling client HTTP traffic. We have 1902, which is probably, yeah, that's the local open search instance, and 1905 is probably the FluentD container. So if it is enumerating these IP addresses, I think 1 and 2, or 2 and 3 could be OpenSearch, 4 could be the web container, and 5 would then be the FluentD container. So I think FluentD probably talks HTTP, and OpenSearch is actually expecting SSL. Okay, so now they can talk to each other, but that doesn't seem to do much. Let's stop them again. But that's definitely progress. I agree, Exegete. If the web needs to access FluentD, which of course it needs to, it will need the same network, and then it really doesn't make much sense to put everything in its own network, except if you, I guess, if you run many separate Docker Compose stacks on the same machine, and you don't want to have, say, broadcasts flood the whole network and impact containers that aren't at all interested in this traffic, then it makes sense to basically isolate this Docker Compose stack from everything else and having it run in its own network. And I think you're right. Docker Compose would create its own network for this particular stack anyway. But that's something that we can research later. It makes sense if you had a load balancer. Yeah, okay. Why would it make sense with a load balancer, though? So we have this disparity between SSL and non-SSL, I guess. The OpenSearch dashboard, so the Kibana instance. That's, yeah, okay, so 1 and 2 are OpenSearch nodes, 3 is the basically the Kibana equivalent of OpenSearch, 4 is the web server, and 5 is our FluentD. Okay, so let's actually copy that up here as well, so we don't get any confusion later if I forget to put that in. With the load balancer, the clients should talk to the load balancer, not the individual nodes. Yeah. Okay. Now. 24224 is a port that FluentD uses, and I guess yeah, FluentD has this configuration, and we talked to port 9200, which we do actually expose even. That's exposed to the host machine, but that is not important in terms of FluentD talking to it. And so I guess I need to find out how to tell either FluentD that it is supposed to talk SSL, or how to tell OpenSearch that it's not talking SSL. So I guess let's try and OpenSearch TLS. By default, for ease of testing and getting started, OpenSearch dashboards runs over HTTP. Okay. But that's dashboards. Yeah, I guess. That is for accessing the dashboards. It'll use HTTP by default just to keep things simple. But how does OpenSearch handle incoming traffic? Well, the default configuration seems to be HTTP port is 9200. Which is strange. So let's see. Dashboard runs on 5601. And yes, they talk SSL to 9200. So I need to actually make FluentD talk SSL as well. That's something that we need to take care of in the FluentD configuration then. So let's find out how to do that then. FluentD TLS transport section. Some FluentD input, output, and filter plugins that use server HTTP server plugin helper also support the transport section to specify how to handle the connections. Oh, I have news about my my setup here. And that is, I did actually replace the cooler of my CPU. I got all the courage that I could muster, and I tried and upgraded my CPU cooler, and the whole operation went well. I am happy to report I was really anxious because I haven't replaced a main board in, I guess, more than 20 years. And so I was quite anxious because it was highly likely that I had to take the main board out to actually replace the cooler. And that was actually the case. I needed to get to the backside of the main board, to the backplate that holds the CPU cooler, and so I had to pull out all the cables. I did lots of photos, and I extracted the main board, did replace the CPU cooler, got new, the new CPU cooler came with new thermal paste as well. I chose a Noctua cooler, and built that in again. In the process of putting the main board back into the case, I also found the reason why I never had a power LED light up in my case, and that is because the wires for the power LED were just pulled too tightly into a cable tie, and so they, with the least amount of motion for the whole cable tree, they got pulled out of the main board, and so I never got to see a power LED because I'm pretty sure either the power LED cables got or wires got pulled out at assembly or during delivery of my machine, and so I clipped that cable tie and put the power LED wires where they belonged on the main board, and lo and behold, now I have a lighting power LED, and I can see when my PC is on or not. But more importantly, the temperatures for my CPU dropped by a whopping 20 degrees. I ran a stress test using the eponymous utility before I did the whole operation, and CPU temperature rose to 90 degrees. While the CPU fan spun up, we were still at 90 degrees. And I was quite afraid that caused a lot of the issues I had recently with the stream, because OBS recording and everything already is not taxing the CPU, but at least making it spin up and heat up. And if then there is the hourly Restic backup, which quickly scans through the whole home directory, which is almost a terabyte of stuff, I can actually hear the CPU fan turn up for a minute or so while Restic is scanning the whole file system. And if these things coincide, or something else that takes a lot of CPU, I can imagine that the machine did actually go into thermal overload. And yeah, that definitely has changed, because with the new Noctua cooler, the maximum I can get this machine to heat up to using the stress test is 70 degrees. A whopping 20 degrees less. I can even see it when the machine is idle. Usually before, I think I saw temperatures of around 45 to 50 degrees, and now sometimes the temperature doesn't even reach the 30 degree mark. So everything is much better now, and even now when I'm streaming, my little temperature widget shows me 43 degrees CPU temperature, which is definitely a huge difference to before. And so I'm confident that this will make my streaming a little bit more reliable and stable. I'm pretty happy with the whole operation, and especially that it was a success at first attempt. I really wasn't too confident in my abilities to do these things, because, yeah, as I said, before I never had to deal with these huge CPU coolers. The last CPU cooler I had to install was one of these teeny tiny fans that you plop onto a CPU, and I don't even think they used thermal paste back then, and so yeah, I definitely had to refresh my PC building skills. Exit asked, did you report the change to the manufacturers? You mean the change of the CPU cooler, or the change of the fix with the power LEDs? I mean, I could write them. The machine is from Tuxedo, which is one of the specialized Linux hardware manufacturers. Yeah, I could send them some feedback. That's actually a good thought. I didn't think of that myself. The only downside of the whole change is that I can't put the side panel back on my case, which is, I think, a mini ATX case, and the new Noctua cooler is about, I guess, 3 to 5 millimeters higher than the original fan and cooler assembly, and it actually protrudes out of the case for a few millimeters, enough that I can't put the side panel back on. So either I have to cut a hole into the side panel and let the CPU cooler protrude a bit, a little like one of these V8 engines you can see sometimes, or I do what I'm doing now, which is simply leaving the side panel off for the time being. Okay, so Fluentd, TLS, how do we deal with this? Let me see. I would have expected my search to yield better results, so let's go back to the actual search. Fluentd TLS encryption. Well, that should have been the right page in the first place. HTTP. The in-HTTP input plugin allows you to send events through a HTTP request. Using this plugin to really launch a REST endpoint to gather data. That's the input, right? So we might be in the wrong place here. That's input plugins, yeah. Okay. Output plugins. Oh, look at that. There's OpenSearch. The OpenSearch output plugin writes records into OpenSearch. So we have full OpenSearch support here. That makes much more sense. Okay. So I do a match my logs and I use type OpenSearch instead of type Elasticsearch. Host localhost 9200 log stash format true. Let's see how ours looks like. So I was counting on the Elasticsearch compatibility, but of course if you can get full OpenSearch support, then yeah, I'll take it. Hacksaw, yeah, which actually is something that I haven't done myself either. I never had to cut metal before, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do that myself, because I would like to make this. If I do it, I'd like to make it neat, and for example, put some kind of a rubber seal around the edges so I can't cut myself and things like that, much like you would do with an industrial cutout, or if you have a camper van or something and you cut a hole in there, you would probably want to have the edges rounded and a rubber seal around them and things like that. Proxeus has already experience in that. Do guidelines, yeah, and cut outside of them, then file it smooth. Touch up with sandpaper, yeah, makes sense. And I watched the odd camper van conversion, and yeah, apparently there are these rubber seals that you can get that you basically put over the metal edges, and so that then would round everything off in the metaphorical and actually literal sense. Deburring tools are worth every penny too. Yeah, I guess in that case I would probably buy a Dremel, because that would be then a more universally useful tool and purchase. So, OpenSearch port 9200. Let's try and see what's going to happen if I do another Docker compose up. I did forget something, so let's go right back down. I need to do a Docker build first, because I changed the Fluentd configuration. Ooh, you think, okay, because of its high RPM, huh? So let's do DC build. Yeah, you're right. I guess, yeah, it doesn't need to be that sophisticated. Purely deburring tool should do the trick. Let's try again. Mm-hmm. Where's the Fluent D node, though? So we have the dashboard running. We have the OpenSearch nodes running. Cluster health status changed from yellow to green. But I'm missing the Fluent D node. That exited. And with a configuration error. Unknown output plugin OpenSearch. So I guess the OpenSearch image that we use doesn't have the OpenSearch plugin in there. It's supposed to be type OpenSearch, right? Yeah, okay. And that is what we've put in there. So, oh, we are building this? Okay, so let's see. We might be using a Fluent D version that doesn't support OpenSearch yet. Why don't I use latest here? Let's give this a try. Oh, we need to stop everything. Fluent D. Didn't see an error message, but since I don't see any additional output either, I guess there was one. Yep. I still forgot to build, I guess. That's still Fluent D 1.16. And it only reports the Elasticsearch plugin and says unknown output plugin OpenSearch. Okay. Let's spin down again. Yeah, we need... Oh, that's why. We need to actually install this. Alright. I'll still use Fluent D latest, but of course we'll change that to Fluent D plugin OpenSearch, and we'll, I guess... If I use the latest Docker image, I think I can also use the latest Fluent D OpenSearch plugin. Let's see how this works. What? Fluent D latest? Manifest unknown. There is no latest. Okay. So I guess we should find out what the latest Fluent D Docker image is. Give me just a minute. I think my little one is in front of the door. Just a second. I'm back. Alrighty, so here installation. Well, let's try and find out which Docker versions we can get. Fluent D Docker image. Okay, it's actually the Debian image, so I'll simply go and revert my changes here. Just to get this back, and then I go and do this, open search, no document. And simply install the latest version, I guess. Here we run gem install. That was successful. Let's see how this works. FluentD is doing something. It pops up in between. But let's wait for things to settle first. Dashboards are running. Open search. Still gets the SSL issues. So let's stop this again. So I guess we'll still have to find out how to get FluentD to talk SSL to OpenSearch. What kind of plugin are we talking about? That is the store section. Which means storage, I guess. No, it's the match section. No, it's not. It's been a long time since I last configured FluentD. Let's see, source, match, tell FluentD what to do. Maybe we should look for the plugins, huh? So, open search. We could actually, if you have installed FluentD without Calyptia FluentD, would Fluent Gem install work too? Which seems to be the more native variant, instead of running gem install? Okay, Calyptia Fluid already comes with the OpenSearch plugin, but that's not the most pressing issue now. I can actually use multiple hosts, which in this case would make sense because we are running 2 nodes in this stack. Okay, so we need to use Scheme HTTPS. Okay. So let's put this right here. Let's try with OpenSearch node 1 first, and if that works, then we can try and connect to both nodes at the same time. Baby steps. Let's build first. And we're getting errors again. Caught exception, handling client HTTP traffic. Now it says insufficient buffer remaining for AEAD cipher fragment. That's very esoteric. Well, that is strange. And Fluentd itself, unexpected error, SSL connect. It tried to connect to 0.2. Certificate verify failed. Yeah, of course it fails. Balthasar, thank you for stopping by. Good day to you. Yep, I'm back from DrupalCon with new inspiration and new ideas and a PC that's working better. That's not from DrupalCon, but I was able to replace the CPU cooler over the weekend, which dropped temperatures by 20 degrees. Not temperatures in my home office, but the CPU die temperature. Down from 90 at max to 70, which is a huge improvement. So, yes, SSL seems to be an issue here. Yeah, it's a Ryzen 9 CPU, and it had a very basic cooler on it, and I'm not even sure it was properly on. Maybe it got loose during transport or when I unpacked it or something like that. So there might actually have been microscopic enclosures of air in there that kept the cooler from actually working efficiently, or effectively in that case. Maybe if I simply had put it back on with new thermal paste, would maybe already have fixed this, but I of course had already bought a Noctua cooler, so I put that on, and that definitely did the trick. So at the moment the CPU seems to be running at max frequency, and we are between 65 and 70 degrees, and it doesn't go beyond 70 degrees. All right, so I hope that will actually resolve the issues I had during streaming, especially in a few seconds when my backup job kicks back in at the top of the hour, which spikes CPU for about a minute when Restic scans through the whole SSD. And that shouldn't do a thing anymore. So how do I deal with this? Of course, OpenSearch doesn't have a certificate that is valid. So I guess it says defaults SSL verify peer equals false. So at least the crash I had on, was it Friday? Friday the week before? Because that when my at that point I was just about to sign off, and then my whole machine froze, and OBS didn't do anything anymore, and so I think that might actually have been a case of thermal overload, where it basically throttled the whole CPU, and with everything running on the machine, that basically stopped everything in its tracks. The crashes that I have with OBS after about 2 hours might be related, but might also not. That might be a completely different thing. But this lockup I had last time I was online, I would blame that on thermals. We'll see. We'll see. But in terms of CPU life expectancy and things like that, the operation was definitely worth it. So let's find out how to deal with this. I'm not sure if this XCon thing is helpful directly, because that might actually be something internal, but we need to find settings for FluentD where it doesn't actually verify the certificate. Or I could simply downgrade OpenSearch to HTTP, which would make more sense in my mind. Balthasar got themselves a split keyboard. Congratulations! Nice! A Moonlander. Which kind of switches did you end up buying? Did you use the? Did you get the red ones, the linear ones? And how do you find it? Report 99%. Well, that's full success then. The Browns. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, it's cheap to shit on brown switches. But I was about to say they are basically linears, but of course they run as tactile ones. But yeah, to be honest, the tactility isn't easily discernible. Anyway. Okay. We are getting nearer. What I want to find out is, how does OpenSearch deal with HTTP and HTTPS by default? Yeah, I mean, you can get new switches at any time, and there are new generations of switches coming out every day, I guess. So there's definitely no rush, and yeah, you shouldn't spend money on keyboards that you could use otherwise. Now that you have a Moonlander, you have fixed all the ergonomics anyway, and that was the most important step. Everything else is just gravy. So, configuration file, course headers, not bothered with that. Managing security? Is that something I would... Yeah, encryption. Encryption typically addresses blah, 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 blah. More about configuring TLS certificates. TLS is configured in OpenSearch YAML. Well, I guess we don't modify OpenSearch much, do we? All we do is spin OpenSearch up. Set a few Java settings, but nothing that's actually concerned with encryption. Which means that it does HTTPS out of the box, and I actually don't want to fight against that. So if the default here is to talk HTTPS, then that's fine, and I need to find out how to get FluentD talk to talk TLS without getting confused by the TLS certificate. Frackberg, good day to you. Happy to have you here. Welcome to the Stag. How is my cycling friend doing? How are you enjoying the Voyager, Exegete? Especially, how do the 2 thumb keys feel like? I'm very much used to having 3, and I wonder if I would be able to do with 2. Because other than that, the Voyager seems to be a pretty nifty travel keyboard. Not that I would need one, I have the Cornish Zen, but if that would ever break, then the Voyager would be definitely a nice replacement. And sorry to hear about your pup. Hope it's getting better soon. Adapting to the layers. Okay. Oh, Frackback also tempted by the Voyager. Yeah, I need to think about how my layout would look like if I had only 4 thumb keys in total, as opposed to 6. Okay, FluentD. Dear FluentD, how do we get you to talk HTTPS, but not care about the certificate? Let's ask search, I'd say. FluentD. Disable SSL verification. Verify FluentD SSL verify false option. Traffic is still encrypted, yes, it's just not verifying the certificate option. Verify SSL. Okay, maybe I should actually search for that. FluentD disable verify SSL. Interesting. Spacebar on both hands. I actually am using spacebar only with my right hand. Do I use a spacebar on this keyboard with the left hand too? I'm actually not sure. With my split keyboards, I have space on the right and backspace on the left. I'm actually not sure if that translates to a standard keyboard. Okay, private certs and SSL verify issue, but that's a different plugin. Let's see what that says. There is transport TLS, and I guess... Let's see. Yeah, some Fluentd plugins that use server/HTTP server plugin helper also support the transport section. So I guess we'll add a transport TLS section where we would say what would we say? Is there a search function? Is verify? That's it? That's S3. Not exactly what I'm looking for. Let's see how this works here. Is this the secure no option here? Let's see, Fluentd. Verify, is this so? Or let's make this a plus verify SSO. Where's the verifiers? Oh, okay. That's in the filter in this case. So at least there is this option. Let's see if that makes any difference. Insecure true. We'll give that a try. Nope, I need DC build first. I should actually make this a double command. DC build, DC up. That way I don't fall into this trap every time. So here we go. Let's start looking at FluentD right away. There are still issues. Still the SSL. Okay, let's go with the insecure true. This progress says someone defaulted this to true for my personality. I guess you and me both, brother. Yeah, that's something that is a little bit annoying me too. That it's not well documented in the first place, and it's also kind of inconsistent. Let's see what FluentD has to say now. It does have the insecure true in there. But I guess OpenSearch itself also has issues with this insufficient buffer. This is so annoying. Oh man. You know, this really raises doubts in me. If OpenSearch for some reason has difficulties dealing with SSL traffic, even though it is configured to accept SSL traffic, this is all very strange. I mean, I'm really not using anything out of the ordinary. I'm spinning everything up with default values mostly. And I have no idea why this is so broken. Really strange. And then, of course, FluentD has issues with unable to verify certificate. Maybe that's not because it tries to verify a private certificate, but because the SSL handshake breaks right away. And so there isn't even a certificate to verify. However, it says certificate verify failed, unable to get local issuer certificate. So question is, what is the hen and what's the egg and what came first? Maybe let's verify first how this whole verification issue is supposed to work. FluentD. Let's try this again. FluentD insecure true. So here in the changelog for FluentD 014, there is mention of the insecure. But this here is TLS underscore insecure underscore mode, which makes more sense, to be honest. Transport TLS. I think that's what we already specified, right? No, we say scheme HTTPS. TLS encrypted communication support. That is if you want to talk to fluently using TLS. Bubakek, welcome to the stack. Happy to have you. Thank you for the follow. There are some patterns to configure forward input plugin with TLS. TLS insecure mode true in client side. Let's try that. TLS insecure mode. Output plugin overview. Yeah, so I guess these are all output plugins, aren't they? Elasticsearch isn't listed here though. Back to OpenSearch. The OpenSearch output plugin. So it's an output plugin. We can definitely say that. Logstash format true. I do have that. Type OpenSearch host port hosts user password scheme. So let's take a look at the output plugin overview again. Is there some mention of TLS or SSL? No. I found the Docker image section. We'll have to look this up, the Docker logging driver. Let's see if this has a bit more information here. There's the fluentd, there's the Elasticsearch. It does build stuff. Where's the Docker file, though? Okay, that's that. That's where I got the configuration from, okay. Okay, nothing new here. Close that too. Let's take a look at the HTTP output plugin. Method. Okay, that's post. I can use post. Okay, content type, JSON array format. SSL timeout. TLS verify mode. And they can use peer or none. So let's give this a try. TLS verify mode. TLS verify mode none. Could not communicate. Could not communicate might mean that OpenSearch hasn't spun up yet. Yeah, it's getting connection refused errors. But now everything has spun up and the SSL engine is still insufficient buffer remaining. We might have to fix that. Yeah. Exception during establishing a SSL connection needs to be more than tag size is 16 and we have only a buffer size of 2, I guess. Let's see if I can find something out about this. Insufficient buffer remaining. That's OpenSearch. Not sure if OpenSearch will give us a good search result. But we can always try OpenSearch in, let's start with TLS. Insufficient buffer. I don't think I've ever searched about OpenSearch fluentd. So let's go to troubleshoot TLS first. No, that's not really helpful, I think. There is actually a blog entry. Shall we try and look at that? Oh, so is OpenSearch, the organization behind OpenSearch is Calyptia. I didn't know that. It looks that way to me. We maintain a distribution of fluentd named Calyptia fluentd. These packages contain all the downstream dependencies without you needing to maintain that yourself. Huh, okay. Still, let's take a look at that. All they use is port 9200. It's Fluentd plugin, OpenSearch. It should be as straightforward as I expect. Without any TLS shenanigans. Let's try this minimal configuration though. So just match type OpenSearch, host localhost, port 9200, and index name Fluentd, right? Index name was Fluentd. Okay. Index name Fluentd. And what's this type copy there anyway? I think that might also be an issue. They use source, this dummy source. And if you match that, then we go there. Why don't... Oh, I see. Yeah, that's a copy because we have two stores. One that goes to standard out and one that goes to OpenSearch. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So, okay. But still. Host in their case is localhost and we use OpenSearch.1. That should work. And yeah, I guess that should work too. But now it returns to not an SSL record. I guess that's what we're using, right? Fluent plugin OpenSearch. Fluent plugin OpenSearch, yes. And here we can see the whole configuration. That's much better than the documentation website. Okay. Okay. As user password path scheme SSL verify. So I guess we do have to use scheme HTTPS. And specify SSL verify false to skip SSL verification. That defaults to true. So it's SSL verify false. Okay, finally we have some canonical documentation source. Should have thought of that before. So let's add scheme HTTPS and SSL verify false. Guess we're going back to the open search issue with the buffer size. Let's wait for things to settle down here. Fluenty is still trying to restore communication. Now it gets a 401 unauthorized. I guess we resolved the certificate issue. Yeah, Fluenty gets a 401 and OpenSearch search no authorization header send 401 and authenticate basic. So we have basic authentication in place? Is that true? I guess we go to OpenSearch again. Since we're using OpenSearch out of the box, there should be documentation on this. Okay, I'm actually surprised that that happens, but okay. So what we are using is OpenSearch project, OpenSearch latest. There is no authentication related setup there. So I guess we'll search for, well, we can reuse one of these tabs, I guess. I hate that I have to research that. How is that not documented? Or are these Docker images maintained completely separately? Yes, Balthazar, that is definitely making me happy that getting a 401 requires a full HTTP session. And so we are getting somewhere, but it's such a snail's pace. And I have to research everything and find that from different sources. This is very, very tedious. Mike PDX, welcome to the stack. Hello to you. Isn't it? It's really maddening. It's driving me bonkers. Why can't I just copy and paste a tutorial code example here? I mean, you're definitely right. If you go through with it, you'll have learned something in the end. But this shouldn't take a full live stream to find out, to get a basic example configuration going. Open search. What are we talking? Basic authentication. Default user. Here, someone asks, what are the correct default username? I guess we're not alone in this. That's the web interface, though. Admin is correct for a new cluster. Can I actually connect to the web interface? That's 9600, right? No, that's performance analyzer. Is 9200 the... Can I talk to this web interface too? No, that's the dashboard. Okay, that's the... Wait, that's the dashboard. That is the dashboard. That's different. Haven't even tried accessing the dashboard yet. So, let's close that. Let's go here. Basic authentication. Maybe if I search more specifically, open search container basic authentic. Oh, let's actually search for our issue, and that's error 401. Most of the people, I guess, have issues accessing the dashboard. Search. And if I can type correctly. Another reason could be that in the Docker Compose scenario, our requests don't come from localhost. And maybe it's configured in a way that you can access it using localhost without any authentication. And if it's using a full-blown network, as we are using Docker Compose, it might behave differently. So let's take another look at the GitHub side of things. So we can specify a user and a password, but we would have to know if the Docker container actually has one. So let's go back to Open Search Docker Authentication. Docker Open Source documentation. It's just SSL stuff. There's no other mention of... Let's see if the Docker image documentation has anything to say. That's OpenSearch Project OpenSearch. That's what I'm using. And yes, they are using admin. Look at that. See, that's what I mean. You have to pull this from all over the internet. So admin isn't only the authentication pair for the dashboard, it's also for the REST API. All right. Okay, so let's go into our Fluentd configuration. Oh, I hate this so much. I guess user admin, password admin. Let's stop this. Maybe my suffering is coming to an end now. I mean, I'll admit, now that we know all these things, the setup is usable, even in production, I would say. It uses TLS out of the box, just with private certificates, but it's encrypted nonetheless. And it uses authentication, and I would imagine that I can actually influence the authentication when I launch the image. We'll have to take a look at that when everything is set up correctly. But I would imagine I can set an environment variable or something like that, and see it working with my own definition of the basic authentication. Okie dokie. We are. Nope. Wait. Could not communicate. Retry. Fluentd worker is now running. Are we good? Cluster health went from yellow to green. Fluentd might be running. I guess we could simply try and send Fluentd something, and that should get passed to OpenSearch. We could also try and get the web container hooked up. Which would then let's try it. Let's try it. Operations is fun, isn't it? Okay, looks like that's it. And I should have port 80 open, right? So a simple call localhost should do something. It did log, web did log, and Fluentd actually used the HTTP access tag and logged the access to OpenSearch. The container name was OpenSearch Web 1. That was the standard out output plugin that gives us this log, and the OpenSearch plugin probably doesn't log because, yeah, that would be overkill. Sometimes it takes working with a stack like ELK to remind us how administering services was back in the olden days. Well, the olden days haven't stopped for me, to be honest. I'm still not rooted tightly in the Kubernetes world and in the distributed world. So yeah, I'm still familiar with these things, and I'm happy to have it working. I'm just annoyed at the abysmal documentation, I guess on both sides of OpenSearch and Fluentd. I mean, now that it's working, and it only took a few minor adjustments, but you need to find them, it's fine. I could even use that in a light production environment. But now I need to find out if these logs actually are written to OpenSearch correctly. I would assume so, because we didn't get any errors in the Fluentd log. And the copy to standard out here was successful, so I would assume that OpenSearch got this log entry, but we can only find out if we switch to the dashboard, and that's on 5601, which gets forwarded to my host. So if you go to 5601, and I would say we can actually get rid of this tab, right? That was only to find out that we need to use admin. Localhost 5601. No? Hello? Computer? Computer? Oh, it's localhost. Yeah! That was a Freudian slip if there ever was one. Berthas are feeling kind of meh on Kubernetes. It's good standard, extensible. More opinionated, less extensible in every direction solutions. Yeah, it's fast. That was my impression from the get-go. That was built by a team of PhDs at Google. Because the architecture is impressive, but it's vast and it's really complex. It's, yeah, for me, it's really a work of art of computer architecture. I'm not sure if that makes it particularly useful in practice, but yeah, I definitely am in awe at what Kubernetes actually is. Okay, so let's see. Manage your data, sample data, OpenSearch dashboards, visualize and analyze. I guess I'll click this. There isn't any dashboard yet. Yes, I do remember. Can we access the indices directly. There is index management. No policies. Let's see. There should be a Fluentd index. Yes, there is. Total documents 4. Can actually see what there is. Health green, status open. Can I use discover? I guess we have to set up this dashboard first. Let's close half of these things down. Let's take a look at log ingestion. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Run the following command to see one of the raw documents in the OpenSearch cluster. I guess we can do that just to verify that something is working. It's instead of Apache logs, we need to use Fluentd or something. So let's see, curl. I'm pretty sure Apache logs here is the index name. So that's Fluentd. And here it says starting Fluentd worker. If we say size 5, what happens? Yeah, that's lots of stuff from Fluentd itself. Professor said, I often look back and say, wow, it takes 10 times the resources it used to in order to run a reasonable modest application stack if I use all this. Yeah, you're right. And Kubernetes is also quite a black box. So you probably, if you want to use it seriously, you need to have people who are familiar with Kubernetes itself, except if you run it as a managed platform. So you get a managed Kubernetes cluster from DigitalOcean or somewhere else. Okay, so these were the 5. I have no idea what happens if I leave the size argument off. Get everything, and there's our log entry. Woohoo! That's brilliant. And yet there doesn't seem to be much continuing traction in alternatives. Yeah, there aren't many alternatives in the first place. And you just don't hear about, say, HashiCorp Nomad or something like that. Docker Swarm, no, I think Docker Swarm was pretty much dead on arrival, I think. Yeah, definitely. Even if you get managed Kubernetes, it's still a black box. And if something doesn't work, so for example, if you can't deploy your application and you get some obscure error message from the Kubernetes API, how do you get back on track then. You might just send a support request and your managed Kubernetes provider might have something helpful to say, but they might also not. And in that case, you're stuck. Except instead of being able to see what's going on and repair it, now I have to put in a support ticket. Exactly what I just said. Yeah, you're perfectly right. Oh, were there 2 products named Swarm? I don't think I was aware of that even. Okay, so our it's an Olf stack, right? It's OpenSearch, Linux, and Fluentd. Elk is Elasticsearch, Linux, and Kibana. Then it's an old stack, I guess, because Logstash. So it's a OFD, an OFD stack, because I think it's just OpenSearch dashboard, right? They didn't even give it a its own moniker, did they? Where are we? Here. Yeah, yes, it's just OpenSearch dashboard. So it's basically an off stack, just OpenSearch, including dashboard and Fluentd. We don't even have a Logstash in place because we are using Docker Compose to pass logs right through from the web container to the Fluentd container. Well, Fluentd is actually the Logstash replacement. We could say it's OFO, OpenSearch, Fluentd, and OpenSearch dashboards. And of course, I'm missing the obvious. It's the foo stack. Here we are. It's the foo stack. Fluentd, OpenSearch, and OpenSearch dashboards. Okay, so the rest should be, famous last words, the rest should be the usual stuff, setting up dashboards that can actually parse Apache logs. You're perfectly right. Yeah. The foobar stack. Dear me. Yeah, so I guess we just need to find a way to generate dashboards and the whole processing for standard Apache logs. Maybe is there some kind of tutorial for that? Prometheus to OpenSearch. Huh. Interesting. Would I want to pump all my Prometheus metrics into OpenSearch? I would say that would require quite the beefy OpenSearch setup, but that's something I'm not interested in at the moment. Log analytics sounds like something. Data Prepper is an extendable, configurable, and scalable solution. We're still on OpenSearch. Okay, a Data Prepper supports receiving logs from FluentBit through the HTTP source and processing these logs with the Grok processor before ingesting them into OpenSearch through the OpenSearch sink. So, would we have to set up the Grok processor first? It would seem so. And Data Prepper? Is that something I'm interested in? But I do remember setting up the this Grok plugin in Elasticsearch too. And then we'd use FluentBit. FluentBit is actually the replacement for Logstash, because that then runs on, say, your Apache machine itself, and it picks up a log file instead of the FluentD getting the logs from Docker Compose. I'm sorry. I haven't used Vault yet. It does have a good reputation, but you don't seem to be too fond of it, I guess. Yeah, the more I get into these Docker things, and the more running our hosting platform using Docker containers becomes reality, the more I need to actually spike these things myself and find out how they work. And that's in part why I'm researching OpenSearch here, and why I'm mostly interested in the Docker use case as well. What is this data prepper? Server-side data collector. Okay, so that runs on OpenSearch itself. We don't have to split things up in FluentD, which is convenient, but it puts more strain on the servers then. Not sure which approach I would prefer, to be honest, because I could as well use the processing power of each of my client machines to pre-digest things and force OpenSearch only to deal with the deluge of data that's coming in, instead of having the clients, the many clients, having an easy life and just drop things off in some kind of a raw format, and then force OpenSearch at a central location to parse and process everything. The central approach in that case doesn't seem as efficient as the distributed approach. Balthasar wrote, but I'm really getting to a point that as an operator, if a stack is so complicated that I need a SaaS to use it on a modest team, then it's getting low marks on evaluation for me. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm old school like that as well. Vault horror stories, like the time of production Vault was almost made unsealable because they decided to store unsealed keys on individual user workstations, and then people left the company and nobody else had the unsealed keys anymore. That sounds like a recipe for disaster, yeah. Oh dear. So, before I get into this data prepper thing, which also sounds a bit like vendor lock-in,